All right, welcome back to the channel. So we just saw the weigh-in with Canelo Alvarez and Caleb Plant, and man, I'm telling you, that was intense. Let's talk about what happened at the weigh-in and what that's going to mean for Caleb Plant more than likely in this fight, at least the way that I'm seeing it. Let's do that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So the big fight tomorrow night, Caleb Plant, the IBF champion, fighting Canelo Alvarez, future Hall of Famer, one of the best fighters in boxing, no doubt about it. Either the number one, number two pound for pound guy, depending on what your preference is. WBC champion, WBA champion, WBO champion, and they just faced off. They both made weight. Canelo came in at 160 pounds, right on the dot. Caleb Plant came in, 168 pounds, right on the dot. Caleb Plant came in at just a little bit underneath that, at maybe 167 point something pounds. So the fight is on. Both guys make weight very, very comfortably, man. But I'm telling you, man, this fight, that weigh-in was very, very intense. And from what I could see, Caleb Plant looked more than a little bit shook, and not just because of what was going on with Canelo Alvarez, but what was going on with the crowd, man. It just seemed that, first of all, they come to the face-off and they get held off, from one another. Caleb Plant is talking to Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez is talking to Caleb Plant. Canelo Alvarez got this look on his face like, man, I am about to hurt you, which is not usual for Canelo Alvarez. The only time other times I've seen Canelo Alvarez in that type of mood has been related to the Gennady Golovkin fight, where he was talking about it and was upset with some things that Gennady Golovkin had said about him not fighting like a Mexican or what have you. But in this fight, man, it was very, very obvious that Canelo Alvarez was telling Caleb Plant that he means to do major damage on him. And I don't think he's pretending, right? I don't think that that's something where he's just trying to get in his head. I think this man is dead set on trying to hurt Caleb Plant and really does think that he can do it. Caleb Plant, for his part, was talking back. But when I saw Caleb Plant talking to the crowd and yelling into the crowd after they kind of faced off, he said things like, yeah, you guys can think what you want to think about about Canelo Alvarez. He said something in Spanish. I probably should have taken the time to know what he said in Spanish, but he said something in Spanish to the crowd. It was like, look, you guys think that you know what it is to be up in here. Y'all could never be in the position that I'm in now. Right then, I was like, man, calm down, man. You're losing your cool. You're losing your cool. You're losing your cool. You're looking shook. And that's what they're trying to do to you, Caleb. They're trying to get you They're trying to get you shook up, trying to get you more nervous than you have to be, so that the more experienced fighter in Canelo Alvarez can take advantage of you. And that's what I got. That's what it looked like. That's what it looked like to me. Other guys that I've seen in the past that kind of look like that to me have been guys like Victor Ortiz when he fought Floyd Mayweather Jr. Robert the Ghost Guerrero kind of had a little bit of that look in his eye when he fought Floyd Mayweather Jr. When those guys really get under the bright lights and they got the pressure of the crowd and all that stuff, and fighting the future Hall of Fame fighter right in front of them. There's been a lot of guys that have choked up. So I'd say, there was a lot of talk about, whether, Caleb Plant had Canelo Alvarez out of character before. And I really tried to hold off on talking about it too much, because I don't think that Caleb Plant has Canelo Alvarez out of character. I think that is Canelo Alvarez's character. I think similar to what I said about like Tyson Fury. When Tyson Fury is sitting up and, when he's cracking jokes and doing all that stuff for the camera, that's when I think he's being phony. When he's screaming at what he's going to do to try to hurt you and all of that, that seems a lot more real coming off of Tyson Fury than when he's joking and trying to be buddy-buddy. When he's doing that, I think he's playing mind games with people. But when he's going off about trying to hurt him and all that, that's when I think Tyson Fury's serious. Same thing goes for Canelo Alvarez. When Canelo Alvarez is talking about making history and being polite and all that, that very well may be him. But underneath that for Canelo Alvarez, I really do think that there is a very, very, a guy that, if when you push his buttons, really does want to hurt you, man, because he fights like that, man. He fights like he's trying to hurt you. So I don't think Canelo Alvarez was getting shaken or taken out of character. I think what the situation with Canelo Alvarez is that after all of these fights that Canelo Alvarez has had as a big major fights, the Floyd Mayweather Jr. fight, and pretty much every fight after the Floyd Mayweather Jr. fight for Canelo Alvarez has been surrounded by a lot of pomp and circumstance. I think that he is just very, very comfortable in that scenario, and I think that he's comfortable enough in that scenario when he's talking to Caleb Plant to be given the straight and narrow on Canelo Alvarez. And I think that the more that aggression and all that stuff, I think that really is part of his personality. For Caleb Plant, though, to be talking to the crowd and doing all that stuff, that to me seems like he's a little bit nervous, that he's taking this stuff really, really personally, that he's got a lot of emotion and stuff tied into it. He talks about the fight being his destiny, right? All of that. I think he's just got a lot. It's like a ball of energy and a ball of stress. Like he's got, he's got the world on his shoulder, and that may be fine and good now, but if he cannot shift to going into the ring and getting rid of a lot of that stuff and being able to go about the fight and have, take a cognitive approach to the fight, and settle down, not burning a lot of extra energy just within the emotion of it, right? Like even sitting in the locker room, if he's pacing and he's feeling worried, a lot of that stuff will drain energy out of you before the fight or even any athletic event really starts. So just looking at the press conference, man, I'm telling you, man, I think that Caleb Plant, I was already in a situation where he's in there with a great guy, with a great fighter, and it was going to be hard for him to win. But if he burns his energy up with all of that nervousness and all of that, anxiety, and plus he's pushing on Canelo Alvarez's gas, it very well could be a shorter night than the 8 or 9 rounds that Canelo Alvarez is predicting. Just looking naked at the fight without any of that stuff coming into play, I think that Caleb Plant is a live underdog. I would say somewhere around, there may be a 30% chance he can pull a fight, that he'll pull a fight out. My real issue with Caleb Plant going into the fight is whether or not Caleb Plant is really going to have the punching power to be able to hurt Canelo Alvarez. But if he is able to do it, it's going to be because he shows a amount of mental maturity and cool and calm under pressure with all of that crowd going off on him. That would be exceptional, right? So he has to cool hand Luke it a little bit. And in this press conference, he seemed to be a little bit more amped than he needed to be. And I think that the moment in that weigh-in got to him a little bit, man, with the crowd and all of that stuff, man. But all in all, man, I'm just, I favor Canelo Alvarez to win the fight. I hope I like Caleb Plant, and I want to see a good fight. I hope it doesn't wind up being a blowout. But just the energy in that, the way that he reacted to that, it just seems like maybe the big lights and the pressure of the moment and all that might be getting to Caleb Plant a little bit, and therefore may affect him in the fight, coming up this weekend. But, we'll see. Definitely looking forward to it. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.